world was a different place. As we grow into adults, it loses its luster, it feels like. It's fast-paced. There's so much to do, and in our more and more greedy world, more commercialized world of Christmas, it's hard to even know what to do. For myself, the Christmas season holds 3 part-time jobs, kids, coming home, you gotta clean your house, you got cookies to bake, you got special food to make, you gotta think about people coming over, going to somebody else's houses. It is busy, busy, busy. And as we look at that, we can get wrapped up in the busyness and forget about the reality of Christmas. So as my youngest son and I have been talking about, I've never let my kids make Christmas lists, because in my mind, making a list of what I want for Christmas makes them start thinking about what I'm going to get. When I start thinking about what I'm going to get, because this is what I'm asking for, then I also set myself up for disappointment in reality when I don't get what I put on my list. So I don't like that. But also I don't like the idea of constantly thinking about what do I want for Christmas. Now in the past, though I have not let them make a list, I haven't really thought about this in depth, and as I get older and wiser, I start thinking more about how do we talk about the season not being about getting, not just not setting myself up to be thinking about myself, but thinking about what the season is actually about. And we have Advent, and we've always read Advent books, and we've talked about it at church and whatnot, so it's not like we didn't talk about it at all. But this year, with my youngest, we've really focused on the idea that this season is about giving, and why is it about giving, and connected the idea that Christmas is a celebration. It's a celebration of Jesus' birth. Why? Because it is the greatest gift that was ever given. But it wasn't only the gift of his birth. Advent should be us thinking about and talking about not just Jesus' birth, which is what we celebrate at Christmas, but also looking forward to and being reminded that that birth was always about also his death and resurrection, so that we could have that free gift of salvation, that we could know him. As we come into relationship with Jesus, that gift, if we are truly accepting Jesus Christ as our Savior and recognizing what he did for us, that gift should drive us to know him more. And as we get in his word and know him more, it should drive us to do more for him. Not because we owe him, not because we're paying for something, but because we want to be in relationship with somebody who would give so much for us. So we've been talking about that is just that the gift, it's the gift of giving. It's not giving because we have to, or giving because somebody wants to, or even giving because somebody made a list. It's about giving because we want to do for other people and be in relationship with those people. So the conversation comes up every single time my son says something about wanting something for Christmas, or do you think I'm going to get something for Christmas, or what do you think I'm going to get for Christmas? And so then we talk about, okay, so let's talk about this. How much time are you spending thinking about what you're giving for Christmas? It could be acts of service, it could be time, it could be anything, son. What are you giving for Christmas? Before you start thinking about getting for Christmas, let's think about giving for Christmas. And so we go through this process every single time he asks what he wants. And it seems like my youngest is more focused on getting than my older ones were. But anyway, so that is something that we've been spending time thinking about. And for myself, I'm not, how do I enjoy the holiday when it's such a time of chaos, really, in the world, of shopping and doing and making and getting and giving and more money and credit cards and all the things that the world has made it to be? And how do you balance that? Because you're in it. Whether you participate in it or not, you are affected by the chaos of Christmas around you, by what other people do, the people that you're in relationship with. If you work retail, certainly the increase there, just all the things during this season that build up and make this season be a little bit more chaotic and full. How do you navigate that and stay centered on the fact that this season is about the gift, the greatest gift that was ever given, and not letting that slip away in our own minds? And it seems like just talking about it with my son is not enough. For some reason, it's just not like, that is the greatest gift that is ever given, and it is such a blessing all year round. I would love for that to somehow permeate into the everyday life of this season that I am finding so difficult to navigate. That being said, I spoke to somebody recently, and their life is so hard right now, and the season doesn't matter. They lost their father to cancer recently and had been taking care of him for months before that happened. They have a special needs child who will never live on their own. They've been building an addition on their house since the beginning of summer that has gone well over budget, and they had to fire their contractor because his work was shoddy. And in addition to that, their house is obviously in a shambles because they're building this addition and things are packed away and Christmas is coming, and their daughter is their only child and the only grandchild, and their house, they're supposed to be hosting Christmas, and this week their addition did not pass inspection, so they can't move into it. And I think to myself, it's your problem. Why can you not? Now, I don't want to compare, because everybody's trials are their own trials. But this person just is clinging to the little things. Their daughter was in a Christmas program and she sung a solo, and it was such a blessing and so sweet. And she, at least in her words, is, clinging to the joys and the blessings that God places in her life every single day, because that's all that you can do. And it's a reminder to me that there's always somebody who has something more going on than you do. So, don't wallow in your stuff. But also that you could be crumbling. Like, your life can be a shambles. And you can, and you're clinging, no matter how close you are to Jesus, you're clinging to those. There are times in life where you just cling to those small joys, those small blessings. it was such a reminder to me that no matter what season it is in my life, what season it is in the year, that Jesus is the answer. He is the answer, not just during this season where we're looking forward to his birth and celebrating all that he's done for us. How do I celebrate that every single day? When life is hard and when life is great. Sometimes it's harder to celebrate that when life is great. Life is just such a challenge for everybody. I know people now who are struggling with cancer. I know people who have celebrated recently being cancer-free. I know people who have lost children. I know people who have gone through so much in their lives, and yet they are able, and they not just able, they celebrate Jesus in a way that I sometimes struggle with. I guess I don't really know whether they struggle or don't struggle. And that's the thing. We don't see people, we often don't see them in their struggle. We see them as they are clinging to the hope, as they are saying, but I trust in Jesus. Do you trust in Jesus? I trust in Jesus. Do I always trust in Jesus? I think there are times where I feel like my trust is lacking. Or that if I really trusted him, would I be doing would I be frantic? Would I be anxious? Would I be this? Would I be that? No. We are just human, though. We are just human, and I have to remind myself of that. Anyway, all of that is to say, during this season of life, as we are looking forward to celebrating the birth of Jesus, let's not let the chaos of the worldly Christmas season get in the way of remembering and celebrating what this day is really about. It is about the birth of our Savior. He came, he lived, he died, he rose again so that I could be saved, so that we could go to heaven, so that we could be in relationship with him, not just one day when we go to heaven, but today. If you've accepted that gift, if you want to accept that gift, today you can be in right relationship with him. If you have accepted Jesus as your Savior and you've never read the Bible, it's time to do so. If you haven't been discipled, find a church, time to get discipled. Because it's more than accepting the gift. Living a life, the life that God has for you, a life where you have hope and you have joy and you have peace and you have blessing, even inside of horrible circumstances, is possible with Jesus. Not just because you accept him as your Savior, but because you live for him, with him, under his blessing. Well, thanks for listening today as I share a little bit about my struggle with the Christmas season. And my hope is that as I celebrate Jesus, the cares of this world will melt away some, and that I will not stress over what we are not doing that the world does. We are not going into debt for Christmas. We are not making it about things. It's not about kids. It's about Jesus. It's not about presents under the tree. It's about Jesus. It's not about special food. It's about Jesus. I mean, all those things are nice, and if you can do them, do them. But make sure that it is all about Jesus. Have a great Christmas season.